welcome back to Your Turn. I'm Nazy Javid, your host. Here with me today is Bob Kennedy. We call him SoCooL Bob. He's the founder of SoCooL.com. Tell us, what does SoCooL stand for?
Well, SoCooL actually stands for Sonoma County Online. SoCooL. The way it happened was, when I first started on the internet, it was a different world. Most people didn't even know what it was. If you sent email to just about anybody, you'd get an answer. And for the first 3 years, I did what I called interactive communication with people. There was a young man, and I would love if, as a result of this show, that he would identify himself, because I've never heard from him since. He was about 15.5 years old. We had a conversation by email over a couple of weeks about a classic human transaction. He had fallen in love with another young lady. I'm sure that they thought they were going to grow up together, live together, have children together, and all those wonderful things when you first fall in love.
Right.
But you know what usually happens? For him, it happened within 6 weeks. She left him for another guy. And my friend and I, in conversation, counseled with him, tried to ensure him, this is the kind of the way it works. It'll never happen quite this way again. Don't let it make you become a negative, because that's kind of what makes us become negative. And so this person became a friend of ours by email, living in Napa. I had to make a decision about buying a web address. That was a major decision in those days, because nobody even knew what an internet thing was. And what would I do with a web address? Who never heard of it? I decided that I had done an interview with a number of merchants in Sonoma County, about 150 of them. I found out that if what I wanted to talk to them about was technology, absolutely none of them cared about that. They didn't want to hear about it. They wouldn't.
Too early for them at that time, huh?
It made them feel stupid.
Uncomfortable, yeah.
And the last thing you would want to do is, if you were a manager of a company or the owner of a company, was to look or feel stupid. That's not what your being was about. So I found out rather quickly, none of them cared about that. Most of them don't like, as most people don't like, salespeople. I'd say 1 out of 3 of them, if you came back to talk to me about selling me something, I don't want you to come back. Well, what if I wanted to sell you something that would make your business better? I'm skeptical. So they weren't interested in that.
Right.
But I found out that 80% of them were interested in Sonoma County. So I did the wise thing. When it came to time to decide to do an internet website, I decided to name it after what they cared about, not what I cared about.
Smart.
Sonoma County. I then needed an address, and Sonoma County Online took too long to say, took too long to type, and it certainly wouldn't be a web address. So I changed it to SoCO, thinking about it. And I started telling people about it to get their reaction, to see how that was going to work. This young fellow sent an email that said, "You guys are so smart and so wise. Have you ever thought of calling it SoCooL?" I used to teach management training and how to make a decision. It's the quickest and fastest and most significant decision I ever made. I made that decision in 38 seconds. And I basically wrote out the check for $50 for it to become SoCooL.
How long has it been around?
May 22nd, 1995.
1995.
You were, do you want to tell people how old you were?
Absolutely not. And you know, but you know, I wasn't on the net, you know, in 1995. We can say that much. And I don't think a lot of people were at that time. You've been around for quite some time. So do you do this as a hobby, a passion, or as a job, or both?
Well, it's definitely a passion. And you could have called it a hobby, but I did eventually leave whatever I was doing and try to do it full-time, and I still do it basically full-time.
So what are some of the things that you do? Do you sell advertisements on your site?
Well, the modern version of what I do is I now communicate to people what's going on with technology. I communicate the magic fact that the nature of video has totally and completely changed, and this has changed in the last 3 years. The nature of video, which you understand because you've got a little web address of your own on YouTube. You understand that when you do a video today, it is now possible to compress that into a file, to put it on a hard drive where there's plenty of room, to send it over a telephone line or everything else, so that if I do this video today and I make this file, I can send it, and a kid in Tiananmen Square can be watching it on his iPhone. Now, what do I mean that's a big difference? Well, I've done a lot of broadcasting. I remember I told you I was supposed to do a television show here in 1983. As a result of the fact that we didn't do that television show, there wasn't any place else to go. If you were going to do a television show in Sonoma County, it would have been in this room.
TV 50.
But today, if as a result of something I said, something you said, or just a thought that comes to a person out of the middle of the air, if they decided to do a television show, within a week they could do it and broadcast it worldwide 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, and not spend any money to do it.
It's amazing to me. And I've seen it, you know, in my lifetime. It's just amazing to be able to view it. My little, you know, I have 3 sisters, 2 brothers, and they don't know what it's like to not have the internet. I mean, they can't imagine what life was like. And I wonder, what did people do when they needed directions or information? Go to the library? I mean, what did we do?
Look at a map.
Yeah, look, I mean, what is a map, you know?
I had to go to a gas station to get one.
I mean, it's unbelievable to me to see this. So I have a question for you. What do you feel about censorship of video on the internet?
I don't think it's acceptable. I think that we have to create that freedom for human beings. I think that we have to continue to hope that more and more human beings will understand the nature of what they do, and that doing things in a positive way can become a habit for anybody, and we would all benefit if they do it that way.
So we need to teach folks, not regulate them and censor them.
That's my feeling about it, yeah.
Say. Where were you educated? You have a lot of history, a lot of education, a lot of work. Tell us about yourself.
Went to San Jose State College. Primarily spent most of my time in sports there. The education part was very easy. Putting the information in was not a problem. For those who may have seen it, those were the same years that Tommy Smith was there. Tommy Smith only recently received an ESPY for what he did in 1968, which is to stand on the podium at the Mexico Olympics, and he and John Carlos put their fist in the air as a symbol of black power. We thought, we discovered that it was something even simpler than that for them. They were rejected from the Olympics at that time and suffered a great deal from human ridicule and criticism and not bad feelings, because that's the kind of thing that was going on in the 60s.
Wow.
We had a lot of negative things going on. The Vietnam War that most people didn't like, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I went to school. Went to Hastings Law School after that.
Yay, Bay Area.
So part of my education, I was disappointed that as I got older, without knowing it, what I discovered was you wanted to learn how to do something. In order to survive in life, you knew you had to do something. Get a job, for example, as opposed to just read books. And unfortunately for me, my education at Hastings was more education. They didn't teach you, for 3 years, they didn't teach you anything about how to be a lawyer. And I went from, at that period of time, a confident young man, good in sports, to an unconfident young man, unable to survive in my own little marriage, in my own little life.
Ironic.
Because I didn't know how to do things. It wasn't until I was 26, I took the Dale Carnegie course, I discovered that, to me, that's the magic of life, is that it's about what we can do. And again, I repeat, we can learn how to do just about anything. There's a simple formula to do it. Find somebody who knows how to do it and copy them. That's the simple way.
It seems like it would be obvious, but which ones of us actually go out and do it?
Now, we started this conversation about talking about the internet and the technology improvement today. The magic that occurred for me back in about March was I discovered what YouTube was doing, and I discovered that a couple years ago. But they have made it possible to create a little thing called a customized video player. That customized, they've got the magic of having people upload for free into YouTube, so that anybody in the world can broadcast their videos on their website. Which costs less than $10 a month to maintain a website.
Oh, I always wondered how people go grab my stuff off YouTube and post it to other sites.
Because you give them permission to.
Right.
And you have discovered, for whatever reason, magically, that that's good for you. The magic of it is
always
for
read
a person,
the terms and conditions.
The magic of it for me, who is a person like I am, who thinks like a television programmer and programming positive things, et cetera, is that I can now grab for free billions of dollars worth of content. Famous musicians, famous speakers,
and
whatever,
sell advertisements on that site
and
as well.
give it away on my website like a television show. The one that you see now on SoCooL.com is probably an hour and a half or 2 hours. It includes a lot of stuff that I produce, because I produce things in Sonoma County, local positive community events. It also includes some other things and everything else. If you go to SoCoolTV.com, you'll see.
SoCoolTV.com. We're going to take it to break really quick. We'll come back and tell you more about the site.